Hello everyone, and today I would like to show you the most famous chess game of Paul Morphy. And in this game Paul Morphy is playing with the white pieces, and his opponent is Duke Karl and Count Isouard. So Paul Morphy's opponents are two players. And before starting to the chess game, let's check out the story behind this game. Paul Morphy was a big opera fan, so while he was in Paris, German nobleman Duke of Brunswick, and he is also known as Duke Karl, invited Paul Morphy to see the Italian opera, and Paul Morphy accepted the invitation, and while he was watching the opera, he played a chess game with Duke Karl and his friend Count Isouard. So they played this game in a private box, which was above the stage of the opera. And interestingly, while they were playing this game, there was this romantic opera music in the background. As a very big opera fan, Paul Morphy turned his back to the show, to the opera, so while he was playing the game, from time to time, he was turning his head to the back to see what's going on the stage. But even this did not distract Paul Morphy, and Paul Morphy played a very accurate chess game, which is known as the opera game. But we should also say that his two opponents were only amateurs. While they were playing this very famous chess game against Paul Morphy, Duke Karl and his friend Count Isouard was speaking a different language for not letting Paul Morphy to understand what they are planning when they were discussing which move to play. So probably they were speaking German language when they were discussing about a move. So this was the story of this game, a very interesting story. So let's get back to the chess game, to this very famous chess game of Paul Morphy, the most famous chess game ever played in the history of chess. So this was the story of this game, and as I told you before, Paul Morphy is playing with the white pieces, and Duke Karl and his friend is playing with the black pieces. Paul Morphy starts the game with playing e4, e5, knight to f3, d6, d4. And Paul Morphy is already challenging the center, bishop to g4, pinning the knight, d takes on e5, bishop takes on f3, queen takes on f3, and black captures the pawn, d takes on e5. But Paul Morphy played bishop to c4, and Paul Morphy is threatening checkmate, queen to f7, and black is defending with the knight, knight to f6. But then Paul Morphy played a very strong move. He played queen to b3, attacking on f7 and also attacking b7 at the same time. So it's not possible to defend both squares at the same time. Duke Karl and his friend Count Isouard decided to play queen to e7, and they are defending on f7. But Paul Morphy is not capturing the pawn. Paul Morphy is developing his pieces, and he played knight to c3, c6, bishop to g5, pinning the knight, b5, attacking the bishop, and in this position, Duke Karl and his friend was hoping that Paul Morphy would retreat his bishop to somewhere else. But Paul Morphy is not retreating his bishop, and he played knight takes on b5, c takes on b5, and then bishop takes on b5, sacrificing the knight and creating a very beautiful attacking position. So defending with the knight, knight from b to d7. But then Paul Morphy castled in the queen side, and now the rook is also joining the attack. Rook to d8, defending the knight. Paul Morphy captures the knight with the rook. Rook takes on d7. And black, of course, captures with the rook. So if knight takes on d7, bishop takes on e7, bishop takes queen. So we have rook takes on d7, rook takes rook. But then the other rook is joining the attack, rook to d1. Duke Karl and Count Isouard played queen to e6, and they want to exchange the queens. But Paul Morphy is not exchanging the queens, and he played bishop takes on d7. And now, knight is not pinned, so they captured the bishop with the knight. Knight takes on d7. And now, Paul Morphy played his very famous, very iconic move. Probably the most famous move of all time in the history of chess. And Paul Morphy played queen to b8, sacrificing the queen. And black is forced to capture the queen. So this is the only move. Black captures the queen, knight takes on b8. And then Paul Morphy played rook to d8. And as checkmate, we have this magnificent checkmate by Paul Morphy. And the final position looks very elegant, very beautiful. And this game is also known as one of the most beautiful chess games of all times because of this very beautiful final position. So this was the Opera House game, and many people knows this game, a very famous chess game. And what makes this game so special? Well, I don't know. There are many other chess games of Paul Morphy which looks as beautiful as this game. But this game, this very short game, is important because it is a perfect example of the rapid development and activating your pieces as fast as possible. So Paul Morphy was a player who was only interested for activating his pieces and for attacking his opponent. And if you looked carefully and if you noticed in this chess game, Paul Morphy never made any passive moves. He always played active moves, always moved his pieces to the forward, but not backward. So I hope you have enjoyed watching this video, and I hope to see you next time. Take care.